meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, March the 9th. We're here for a regular meeting. We're going to stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Kathy?
Here.
Mr. Pollard?
Here.
Mr. Smith?
Here.
Ms. Call? Here. Mr. Keith?
Here. Thank you. Before we go to citizens' comment, one agenda change, and that is number 6, ordinance 759 has been removed. It is scheduled for next meeting. It has been advertised as such, so number 6, ordinance 759 is not an agenda item today. Okay, traditionally under citizens' comments, try to keep your comments to a minimum, as well as time-wise. You're allowed a couple minutes, and also if it's an agenda item, it's something that you will be allowed to speak at that time. So the floor, chair will entertain citizens' comments. Just raise your hand and announce, give us your name and where you live. Yes, I figured Brock had something.
Brock Priest, 422 Colorado Drive. Just a couple of quick things. Have you found out anything about the boat ramp road yet? Because that's going to be a big issue coming up with the apartments.
I can't speak to that. I personally have not. Mario, is that on your list? We'll add it to the list. And I tell you what, next week we'll report back. What you're asking about is the road, the bypass road that is not part of the boat ramp road.
Exactly. And second one, I guess, is Mario, I talked to you last meeting about all landscaping that's going to happen next month along the beaches. About, you still planning on bringing all the poles and the ropes up to the top to keep people from wiping that out?
I need to bring that up to the council to see if they're okay with moving the poles, but
Okay.
until the landscape gets installed, it would just get in the way, so we've got a little bit of time on that.
And my concern, Mayor, I talked to Mario last meeting. You got all the boardwalks up there, you know, you put your poles down there with the ropes up, and that's doing a good job of keeping people off the dunes. They're kind of walking down the sand and they go in, you know, not everybody walks over the boardwalks. But once you put that landscaping in there, there's nothing to keep anybody from parking at the top and just trampling it down. And, you know, I go to the beach all the time, I'm sure you walk down there, you see it. Everybody goes down to sand. Probably half the people use the boardwalks. And you're gonna spend a lot of money to get all that done, and, you know, something needs to be done to protect all that landscaping. And adding to that, is there anything in the future about maybe getting some kind of collections together for people if they want to donate money to get benches put in down there or stuff like that? Has that been any?
Right, we've been a little busy, and we might not have thought of that. And I don't mean that in any way, but constructively. Those are good ideas. But no, I don't think we have even discussed such as that.
But something to keep.
But maybe you could head that up.
I think it's a good idea too.
I do too. But I'm just saying, no, we have not done. We hadn't done anything formally to announce in the community. You know, give us some collection. You want to put a bench in somewhere? But I don't know of anything that we've done to address that.
And Mayor,
That's a good idea.
it has been done in other municipalities, and the fund basically pays for itself. So if the person pays the $1,000, they get a bench, and it has 32 characters that you can put on it if the council wishes to do something like that. What was done was, it's one of those materials like the decking that we have on our walkways.
Composite decking bench.
That will not deteriorate in the sun, so, but they're costly. They're about $1,000 to $1,200.
Where are you thinking that this would, I'm just curious, on the boardwalk?
Yeah, along, you know, you got the walkovers, but, you know, people come down there and there's nowhere to sit. A couple of your boardwalks have a little bench on them, I think about half of
Correct,
them.
yeah, we have some built in.
Yeah, it would be kinda nice, you know, at the top area somewhere to have maybe a couple of benches along that roadway, for people just walking along and, you know.
We had some on the north side, but we don't, I don't think DOT's gonna let us put any kind of bench out on the right of way where the parking is. If that's what, if I'm following you.
Okay.
But on the north side, we did, before the storm, we did install some benches, like for walkers or bikers that maybe once they want to stop and sit down.
Okay.
We did that, but not on the south side of the road.
Okay, so that's not a DOT issue then, if you go to the.
DOT's funny about putting things where,
Mhm.
any kind of structure that could be hit.
Okay. All righty, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I have a comment about that. Della Durham, Walker, 15th Street. My husband is the chief of survey operations for Bay County. I will ask him tonight if we can put a bench there.
Put a
If
bench
people
where?
know.
Put a bench where?
You were talking about in right of ways, to see if you can put benches there, because he'll know if the county lives.
Well, I don't think we would want to put a bench in the right of way.
But he's talking about like on the side of the road, right?
Yeah.
Like on this side, on the right side, like towards the beach side? That's the.
Yeah, we could decide, the council may talk about that, but I'm not sure we want benches over where people
Oh,
park.
yeah, I understand. I'm just saying, though, if you guys wanna clear that up, I can ask him.
Well, we don't, okay. Any other comments? Any other citizens' comments? All right, moving on, thank you. Post office discussion,
Yes.
who's here? Who? Okay,
Where's that, sorry?
you're up.
Stand up, I'm drawing like, I'm sorry. We just came to find out if we can get a commitment from the city council on the building on 14th Street for a future use of the post office.
Would you repeat that, please?
Yeah. We've come to see if we can get a commitment from the city council on the use of the building on 14th Street for the post office, for the future of the post office.
Well, I thought we told y'all you could use it if we saw what you wanted to do with it. I'm not sure, council, what, I mean, I read your thing, had we not already done that?
Well, we have nothing in writing, we have nothing, actually,
No, we didn't have any kind of formal agreement. My
Absolutely.
meeting was that y'all were going to look at what it would take and make some decisions about whether or not it was feasible to fix the building up.
mhm.
And to date, other than right now, I haven't heard anything back on what you thought was feasible. So, Mr. Attorney, can you help us here, a commitment? I guess you're talking about a contract that says that the city is
Yes.
willing to lease the building or
Yes.
for X amount of time, for X amount of dollars.
Exactly.
We can prepare something like that. We could style it as an option that they would have, I don't know, 90 days to execute a lease, something like that. Probably the best way to do it. It certainly can be done. We want some kind of discussion of what you want in it as far as basic terms. I think I know, but I don't want to assume too much.
I got you. Well, just a brief backtrack. When we discussed the post office, the only time, to my knowledge, that this council as a group has discussed the post office, we said that we were willing to make, the city was willing to see what we could do to help secure a post office and not lose the post office.
Right.
Uh,
Now, I know you asked us for a plan and draw out, but then you called back and said that it was gonna be leased under a different way, and we didn't need that. But we can't get a lot going on just on, well, we're gonna talk about it and find out. I haven't been able to get a lot of cooperation from.
Well, then we'll just ask the council, I understand what you're saying, I don't call the conversation, that's here to there. What they're asking for then appears to be an agreement, a written, formal agreement between the city and the Bloods to utilize that space for a post office. And then just us supplying a location, not investing in repairing it or fixing it or, which is sort of what I thought we talked about last time, maybe miscalculated.
Let me, with Laura's permission, I'm going to tell you what she has passed on to me. A lot of the citizens who wanted to donate to help repair the building have asked that the city make some sort of formal commitment so that they're not left wondering if down the road something will happen and the post office will have to leave that building once citizens' money has been put into it. That's one of the primary purposes.
I understand that, I fully understand.
And it's not just for the Blitz, it's for any future
So that no matter who
contract.
has
When we
the
retire,
contract.
no matter who has it, when we retire, people can just make a peaceful yeah.
Peaceful transition power.
Well, all right, well, all right, we understand, council wanna discuss this, I mean, or come to there's probably some ramifications to that I hadn't thought about.
I have no cause to say that they can't do it. I would be willing to go along with it as long as they take care of it. But it definitely would have to be used as a post office only. We're doing this, the way I look at it, as a service to our people in the city. We're not just doing to a business. It's for a post office use only.
Well, last time you talked about it, you said that there were some reasons they couldn't get money and you wanna.
Well, that's what Marty and I have talked about before, but if they got citizens that can go through this, now the Bloods can't go on GoFundMe because of the post office, the way I understand from
Yeah,
Marty.
we're kinda tied that way.
But if, I'm willing to offer the building for them to use if they can fix it up. But I don't know how much for the codes or what you be able to do with it. But I wouldn't do it to a business, I would do it for the post office only.
And the post office is big.
Well, it is in that sense.
My own, if you got a post office box, you've been to my house and want to keep the post office. If you don't have a post office box, you come by my house and said, if they rent a third of that building to the post office, I want the other third. That, what I'm saying is everybody, our business is a business, and to me, that's a business. I know it's the post office, but it is a business. And I look at it, I've been looking at this 2 or 3 days. If we agreed to let you, or the city council agreed, what are we gonna do when your lease is up? Which will be at the end of, next month. Well, I mean, there's a lot of things I'd like to know. I mean, if you're gonna close down, or, I'm just saying, I don't know what will y'all do at the end of next month? Are y'all gonna pay the rent?
We can't. We
Well, then
can't.
you-
We
then
can
would
close,
you
there are
have-
no extensions past April.
So you
30th.
will have to close.
We'll have to close. And now what we can do is we get a committee, we get a plan, we get that plan approved, it's all if we do. Okay, then, we can put it on suspension and give them a projection date as to when we can reopen. And in that case, we can take back our termination notice, give them the suspension, work on getting it done, and then reopen.
Do you think there's no way, or maybe talking to Harry or whatever his name is? Who is it?
My name's Tim O'Connor.
Oh, I'm sorry, I see him. I just got you, bald headed, got you.
Well, he is standing up.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm curious to know, it's just like, they wanna know, like Bobby said, make sure it's used for a post office, which I promise you, if people come by me, they want a post office, I think we should help get a post office. But it's a business.
We actually have never had a business license. We've been in business for 21 years. When we went down to get a license, the lady told me that they have never issued a business license to the post office, and they weren't about to start now. And that was 21 years ago. So we've never had a business license. We're a public service.
But you're a subcontractor of that public service.
I am actually a contractor.
Let's be careful, we're speaking to the city council, we aren't having a discussion amongst those of you in the audience, okay?
My bad.
Okay, let's try to keep that
I
in mind.
want,
Yeah, you got, what's your name, please?
My name's Tim O'Connor.
Okay,
Storage
Tim,
Club.
what's your comment?
Just a couple quick things. We are committed to keeping a post office tenant in that space. It's outfitted already. We know how important it is to the town. It's important to us, business-wise and everything. It just makes sense. Unfortunately, I think we're at an impasse with the current contractors, but we're still dedicated to having someone in there running a post office if we can make it work. My suggestion to the town, and I mean this with all due respect, before I raise the collection, I would make sure that the current contractor went to the post office and asked for an increase in their rate to cover their rent. To our knowledge, we haven't been shown anything that that's been done, and that should have been the first step 6 or 8 months ago. To our knowledge, again, correct me if I'm wrong,
I will.
Lori and those guys haven't had an increase on their rate in 8 years.
Whoa, let me tell you something, let's stop this discussion. The city council is not in mitigation about leases and agreements between parties that don't relate to the city. Okay. Is the council interested in hearing that? I mean, does that have any bearing on what we do?
no, I don't think, to my opinion, I
I'm
don't
just-
think we had decided, we're not in the business to rent property to start with. That's my opinion, that's all.
Well, from what I've heard, because I've heard from Harry and those guys, I've not met this fellow yet, but they haven't negotiated with them, and Harry says, and I guess you could attest to it, that they're willing to negotiate, but they haven't come to them to negotiate, is that correct?
There hasn't been a whole lot of communication.
Okay, so, and I know at the last meeting that we talked about the post office, I asked Marty what could he pay, and he said, well, I could pay $1,000. So, what you guys are charging is right there, isn't it?
Yes, that would be correct. That's the new rate, right?
That's the new rate until May 1st, and then it goes
And then
up
it's
considerably,
then it's 1,500.
plus taxes
But
for
it-
most part.
Again, I don't want to get off on a tangent if that's not what we're here
No,
for.
no, I'm sorry.
Okay,
I
so,
think we didn't go wrong.
But I'll answer any questions you guys have. I'm here. We'll be 100% transparent. Anything you guys want to know.
Go ahead, Darryl. Yeah, go ahead.
one other thing, regardless of who wants the post office or who doesn't want the post office, to bring something to the city council, I think you're trying to go about it the wrong way. You want us to commit to something that we have no idea if you're gonna be able to work it out or if you're gonna be able to do anything. I think what needs to happen is you need to go ahead and postpone your whatever, if you can postpone the closing of it, or,
I can't.
well, I mean, you kinda waited a little late, but you should've came in and had all your ducks in a row with saying, okay, we've got this much money, we're gonna do this, and you haven't done any of that.
Now, I have been in communication with a lot of board members, I have.
Well,
Granted, I probably did it wrong because I've never done it before and I don't know how it's done. But we are in critical mode here. And my understanding from the people at USPS is the space we're in now cannot be considered for a future post office. They have denied it to me.
they have what now, they've denied?
And I had talked about, well, if I can work something out, but I do have 3 emails from Mr. Phillips saying that the rent is not negotiable. So it doesn't matter that I haven't contacted them because they have told me, you can't negotiate this.
Well, again, I think, for me as a council member, I'm not gonna think that it's smart for us to spend a lot of time figuring out what kind of deal we're gonna make with you when we don't know if we make a deal with you, if you're gonna be able to match that deal. I mean, you're talking about a lot of money to fix that place.
Right.
And volunteer money, you know, I can't see volunteer money raising anywhere near the amount of money that it's gonna take to get that place safe and back in operating order.
But we won't know until we try.
I have a question here, and so I'm kinda like, this young man here, what is your name, the guy in the black shirt, I'm sorry, so you're representing the people that own that property right now, is that correct?
Well, let me tell you, I'm gonna stop this again. This is public, this is a topic that people address the city council. If y'all want to discuss, you can go out there and meet these people, you can do whatever,
Well, I
but
was
in
just
this
gonna
meeting.
comment, if he wants to meet me after this meeting, I can go talk to him up front.
Right, if you want, that'll be
We'll talk
fine,
about
that'll
that
be
after the
fine,
meeting.
that'll be
Okay.
much better.
My name is Della, I'll be out here waiting on you.
There you go, you go where you go. Alright, let me sort of see if I can throw a cast net over this, for my opinion. There's been a contract post office here since the beginning, back in the 50s. That's the way it's always been run. The post office has moved throughout the city a half a dozen places. As we grow, renting space and finding space for a contract post office, all of us should be aware of us by watching the news and nothing else. The federal government and the postal system, it is very difficult to secure funding. I personally support making an agreement to have if it proves to be that they can raise that money, the only thing we're out is the commitment, and we would need to structure it in a way that it is simply a post office. I don't see anything wrong with doing that if it secures a postal system in our town moving forward. If the money doesn't come in, or the renovations aren't done, or they can't support it, or whatever reason, we have lost nothing. And I think that what they're experiencing, whether or not there's personalities involved, or who hadn't said what, or hadn't negotiated right, it's gonna be difficult to rent privately, or the postal service at some point will simply say it's not feasible to do. So, that's my take, that I don't have a problem saying for $10 a year, we'll rent this for 5 years and see what happens, and then at that we can, you know, maybe we start getting a little rent, I don't know, but I'm just saying, I think the city, I'm committed to try to keep one, and the only way I see to do it, I don't see it harming the city by making that commitment, and I'm through.
But why $10 a year? If they're willing to pay $1,000 a month?
Well, because the building is not, and yeah, if you could walk in it. I mean,
This is a big can of worms here.
I still don't quite understand, I mean, after the lease runs out, if her contract's up, we're gonna be without a post office.
well, I'm basing on what she said, that if she had a commitment, it would show the postal system that they could extend that, and that's what I interpreted you to say.
Yes, I can withdraw our.
They could withdraw that because they have a potential place to move.
Our hopes are to withdraw that.
That's
show
all.
them- Show them a plan that will, when we can reopen, move to that thing and then get it reopened again. That's what I'm here for.
But they gonna have to, if they stay where they're at, they're gonna have to pay the rent.
We don't have the option to stay where we are.
Well, they sound like they're leaving.
The space has
Well,
been
we're gonna have a
shot.
post office, I mean, my question is, we will be without a post office, yes or no? After April.
If we make the commitment, she can present that in writing that there is a commitment from the city, and that they have a potential place to move, and it would they could withdraw their notice of
But he is correct, we would withdraw we would suspend the contract because we don't have a place to operate out of until that building is prepared. So we would be without a post office for that length of time,
Yeah.
yes.
So you're gonna be
Oh, I
without one.
misunderstood. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna be without a post office.
Okay.
How long would that take to
That's-
get that
that's
building?
fine.
That's.
We're gonna be without a post office,
I only
period,
have-
right?
Yes, I only have about a 2-week thing that I can make a plan to present to them. Every time has just been running out. And, so I've got a lot to do in 2 weeks if you guys say yes, otherwise,
One more thing and I'll be through.
Okay, go ahead. Hey, this is a big deal.
Yeah, it is. And the only option you have is, besides getting this that you're trying to get, would be to pay the rent, and you say you can't. You
Well-
cannot feasible,
the contract calls for a certain amount of square footage.
yes, ma'am.
And this place has been chopped up to smaller than the square footage. That, I've always kept a low profile on that, but they now know, and they're now using that against me, yes.
Well, ma'am, my question is one again now, but you can, if you can pay the rent and stay there, if you sign a contract with the new man, in the post office and stay there.
Not according to what they told me, no. Because this space no longer meets the contract qualifications, we cannot stay there. The contract between us and the postal system is for a certain amount of square footage. We no longer have that. They are using that. I cannot use that space any longer.
It's worms, that's,
Okay, are there other questions, or not questions, but comments, or anything that we want to discuss? Is there any interest from the council of giving them a commitment letter to see if that works out?
This contract.
Yes, oh, I'm sorry. Speak.
Carol Bonanno, 402 La Siesta Drive. I have a question for your lawyer. We heard that volunteers cannot help. Should you release to them that volunteers cannot be used to renovate the building? Is that true? Because of legal?
I have no knowledge of that other than the Florida building codes must be met.
That does fall under Florida building, because my understanding is we may be able to get, and I don't know that, a workaround on that through the city, but, through the building department, but, because of.
What about,
Okay.
what about, I'm asking.
So that volunteerism is used in
If they
Mexico
signed a
Beach and
waiver-
everywhere else.
If they signed a waiver of liability, would they be allowed to work in this building?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I don't know of anything that prohibits people from showing up to help out.
And I think the people that were here before the storm, it's real important for us to still have a post office, and I think they will come forward and donate, be it a gift card from your store, a gift card from Home Depot, money, whatever, I think.
It may well be. I don't disagree that may happen. I'm trying to get it where our decision is simply a commitment to the building. I don't see us trying to solve all these other issues, or get involved in those types of negotiations. The request is, to me, pretty simple. A commitment to use the building. If we have an interest in that, we could get Nick to structure a commitment letter, give it to them and see what happens. I mean, it's really, to me, that's where we sit at this table is what it was the request before us. So is there any interest in doing that? Do we have a motion
I'll make a motion.
send them a commitment letter and give Nick some guidelines to what we wanna, what we wanna do. Help us there. If there's interest, at least tell us how we would make that offer.
I'd want the basic terms and what the mayor suggested would work. He suggested 5 years, $10 a year. The tenant has to pay all the costs, the upgrades and the renovations to the building, and I would suggest the tenant would pay insurance, if there's gonna be any taxes applicable, they pay their own taxes. It can be that simple.
I don't think there would be taxes, we would own the property.
There shouldn't be, but I don't understand fully the contractor notion, but.
Oh, I got you, it could be, you're right. It could-
Possibly doesn't.
Well, we can put it in there and
fall
see
under
what
the
happens, that's all we can do. Okay. All right, I'm
Okay,
sorry about that.
I make a motion that we, form a letter of commitment, to the post office, the fire station to be the post office only.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, is there any further discussion?
And this is only for a portion of that building, correct? Or is it for
That
the
is
whole?
correct, and that's why I was saying, when I talked with them about a floor plan, showing what they would need, and once we get that back, I think then, you know, then we could, but initially, no, it is not for the entire building. All right, so we have a motion and a second, other discussion, the terms are simply, go ahead.
If they're only gonna use a piece of that building, then the other piece is not gonna be fixed, so it's not gonna be up to code, and are we gonna be able to occupy part of that building with a roof over the whole thing? I mean, it's,
Yeah.
part of it's not gonna be fixed though.
You have to put a roof over all of them.
Yeah, well, there's a roof over all of it now.
I understand, but what I'm saying is, that's not the only thing that's, I mean, it's.
Well, right now, it's
No
nothing
electric,
in there.
no electric, I mean,
Right.
It may require some work on the rest of the building. I don't think any of us know enough about the building to say.
okay.
Other questions? Call the roll, please.
Mayor Kathy?
Yes.
Mr. Pollard?
Yes.
Ms. Call?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
No.
Mr. Keith?
No.
Okay, we will give you a letter, Nick, give me some time frame just tomorrow. You can pass that tomorrow, you can be in touch with our administrator and report back. Okay, financial report. Mark, or we have Miss Debbie today, or you?
Miss Debbie is unfortunately headed to a funeral, so
Okay.
she's out today. She has reconciled the books up through May of last year, and she's starting to work on the budget for this coming year, so that's her short update. I'll make sure that she's.
When you say reconciled up to date?
No, she's up to June of last year. I had hoped.
Well, I was hoping she'd be listening to that.
But I'll make sure that she's part of the next meeting.
Okay. Sandy, where are you? Back here again?
We talked last time about the life rings on the canal and the boat launch. Since then, the Marina store has made contact with me in regards to trying to help us out in getting those. We are in the process of doing that, so that process is still moving forward. I would hope to have those in as soon as possible, but we're not quite there yet. And we started our yearly hose testing, which is basically 4,500 linear feet of hose that we need to have tested. We're doing it in-house this year. It's the first time we've done in-house for as long as back as anybody can remember. It's going to save us the best part of $4,000. So with that new piece of equipment, we're able to get through the grant. I've got another grant the other day for some new PPE for the firefighters, which the grant will cover 75% of it, and we, the city, have 25%. It's only a $2,000 grant, so it's basically a $500 spend by the city for $1,500 from the state. So it's just another small amount of money to help us get the equipment that we need to continue on the manner which we are at a much reduced cost. Other than that, it's business as usual. There are no significant issues from the fire department. If anybody has any questions.
Any questions for Sandy, Fire Chief?
Sandy,
Yes, ma'am.
do you know of a controlled burn that's going on at Tyndall?
Yes, ma'am. There was a big control burn at Tyndall over the weekend.
Okay.
I don't know the exact square mileage that they burnt, but it was a significant amount on the south side of 98. It is now complete. There are still a few little hot spots, but they are well within what we call the black, which is areas surrounding that have already been burnt. So there is no significant danger to anybody from that burn, but there was a big burn over the weekend.
Thank you, Sandy, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Right now, just a couple of petty or small construction type thefts and things like that, but, you know, we're working on them right now. We don't have any major stuff going on.
Nothing major. Well, that's good, that's a good report. Any questions for our police department? Thank you, sir. We have a code, I don't know, anybody here? Oh, there you are, my bad.
I'm behind it.
Okay, my bad.
We had a successful workshop last week, regarding RVs, and we'll hear more about that later on in the meeting. I've also spoken to, the people that own 126 Pines. They're going to demo that house. She said they were coming down this weekend to clean up a few things, but they're in the process of trying to get someone to demo it for them. And the person at 126 Palm, I spoke to him, and he's gonna remodel that house. He's already got a contractor, and they're gonna be coming to the building department to get their remodel permit. That's it so far.
Okay. And like she said, that discussion from our workshop is part of our meeting later on. Any questions for code?
Kathy, the mobile home at the end of Colorado, the old local center, any word on that with FEMA, when they're gonna tear that down?
Haven't heard a word. Nothing's been passed over to me, I don't know.
Rock, me and you gonna end up tearing that house down, me and you. I'm tired of fighting it too, but me and you gonna end up tearing it down.
And 2 blocks down, you got Gilligan's Island, the boat's sitting there sideways with the trailer that's been there since the hurricane. I mean,
Is that on the radar?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I know.
Yes, sir.
Right where as frustrated as you. Now, just so you know, that may not make you feel any better, but I can tell you, we all are. I skipped building, I didn't see Gina, but is there?
I'm here.
Oh, you, okay, everybody's back there today, all right,
I
go
don't really
ahead.
have an update today, but if y'all have any questions.
No update.
Well, we're
What have you done?
processing some building permits. Nothing substantial.
Nothing
Since
substantial, there you go.
last
All right, we've issued a few more,
We have.
okay,
A lot of pole barns, a lot of pools, a lot of decks.
okay, question for building department? All right, you got all the light there. Okay, Tom, you're on.
Good morning, Mayor, Council. First, I want to give you an update on the dredge. We finally made it out of the canal. We got the sandbar cut open, and we are dredging on the west side now. Troy and Nick said they're getting a lot of debris, which we figured that because, you know, since the storm that hadn't been dredged. And it is packed pretty hard, but they are making progress, so, we have moved that way. Also, some of you probably noticed you're getting Texas now. Come up with a plan to let all the charter captains and all know what the state of the canal is, each day, and, we put together this. Seems to be working real well. That way every day I can get out word whether the canal's open, closed, or whatever. Rock, you won't be on that list, get with me afterwards. I can put your name on, or anybody else that wants that, contact me, I'll get you on that group text. Let you know we are back cutting grass throughout the city again. It's warmed up a little bit, everything's starting to grow. Want to give an update on the yard debris. You know, city has yard debris that's picked up every 2 weeks. It's contracted out by Mark Garrison. They did pick up the last 2 days, they picked 9 truckloads up. When I say 9 truckloads, normally they pick up 1 or 2 truckloads. So I guess everybody's cutting, cleaning up, getting ready for summer. So Mark did ask me to announce it, let everybody know if you would, if you're listening, and you put out yard debris for the city to pick up, please don't put it under any power lines or put it beside a fire hydrant or vegetate, put it out in the open where they can get to it to pick that up. Some people are covering up our, manholes, and they're pulling Kevin's manholes off, and so we don't wanna do that. So if you would, just make sure that it is in a location that they can get to it, pick it up. I want to give an update on our sidewalks. We completed the first phase, which was FEMA. I mentioned that last week. I have Florida Department of Transportation meeting with me Thursday morning at 9 o'clock. We have another 840 lineal foot that we're gonna have them replace for us. Once we get that 840 foot, our sidewalks are gonna be back in tip-top shape. That's gonna pretty much get all the rest of the bad stuff out. So hopefully we'll get that done pretty soon. Also, I mentioned they're gonna cut down on the east end of town. You notice how the sand kinda got blowed in there from the storm, and we have a high spot. They're gonna go in and cut that down back level with the sidewalk, so we don't have that build up. That's gonna help us also. The guys, have ground another 100 stumps since the last 2 weeks when we met. We're still continuing to get the dead trees and stumps up throughout the city. Installed a couple of vent fans out here in the maintenance building, so that we can kinda get some of the heat out here, when they're doing work inside of there. We installed last Friday 2 no dogs on the beach signs, down on the beach on the east end. People from Gulf County was jogging down through, and somebody had took our sign that we had down there down. So we put 2 more up to let them know that they can't bring them on our beaches. Pretty much that's about it, other than just our normal stuff. Y'all did mention a while ago about benches on Highway 98. I just wanted to let y'all know that there are 2 benches.
Hey, excuse me.
There are 2 benches on, Highway 98 that the city put in. We built them and installed one down close to Mark Watts Marina, and there's one down about, I think, Second First Street. They are behind the sidewalk. They are for somebody walking down the sidewalk once sunset. We do have 2 benches that the city put in, and they're still there. They made it through the storm.
They made it through the storm.
Yeah. Other than that, Mayor, that's about all I have, other than just normal stuff that we do throughout the city.
Kathy, are you still back?
Yes, sir.
Do you get calls on dogs?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I didn't know if we called the police or we call you. We call the police on the weekends, right?
Yes, sir. Then I'll call the police too, because my car can't go down.
Right.
Yeah, this is related to the dogs on the beach.
Oh,
Yeah, dogs on the beach, yeah, that's, believe it or not, I still get
I do too.
people saying, why don't y'all keep the dogs off the beach? And I said, well, if you see them, would you call? They said, well, who do we call? I said, well, call City Hall, I guess the code number, they don't know who's called. I said, call me.
I stopped the other day and asked somebody to take a dog off the beach. And they came in from, Gulf County. Of course, now Tommy got the sign up there, but they were very nice. They said, oh, I didn't know, and they turned around and walked back.
Any questions for Public Works?
I got a comment. You think?
I'm fixing to address that, street signs.
Yes.
You sure won't.
I figured that's what Jerry was fixing to ask. I got with Dina this morning, the street sign, bid was put out this morning. It will be in the paper, I think this coming Thursday, it will go in the paper. Then that bid will stay out till, the first part of April, and then we'll go from there, award the bid and get the sign put back up. But it was put out this morning.
I got one more. I got something.
You got nothing, go ahead.
But I'm gonna brag on him this time. The yard debris. I know he hates hearing me. But the yard debris people that we got now, they fired the other people. They did it. And I seen them, I stopped yesterday when they was picking up. And I don't think you would watch me get bit now, but the man that picks up the thing, they didn't dig the hole. He was picking them up and putting them in that thing so he wouldn't even get the ground. And I stopped and I said, and watched them on 2 or 3, and I was impressed. He cleaned that, he had his rake, and he raked out every day.
Wow. Well, Jerry, I got a hold of Mark, about 2 weeks ago about that. The guy was digging holes and they were not cleaning up, and, had absolutely no problems with Mark. He told me that he was sorry that they would come fill that dirt in. They actually let a guy go. He said he'd been warned 3 times. I told him, I said, our contract, y'all have to rake that up, clean it up, and leave it just like it never even happened. And Mark assured me that that's what they were gonna do. So I'm glad to hear that he's doing up to what he told me. So good deal.
I will tell him, well, I would thank you. That, I think you'll see a improvement instead of these holes inside in front of everybody's house. Thank you, Tom.
Jerry, is that the big truck, those are the big trucks that look like the, from the hurricane?
White truck, yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that, cool.
Yeah. He's doing a good job.
Yeah.
All right.
We good?
Yeah.
Kevin? Yes. I know you about that.
We had 3 manholes hit the city, they've all been repaired, 1 did get billed. We've had 1 fire hydrant hit in the Sula subdivision, which I'm working on getting a price together on that, and they will be billed for that as well. The guys are starting to install meter boxes, got to talk to them. We've got a lot of meter boxes since the storm, the lids are missing or broke, so they're out doing a lot of that now. And taking care of other things, new installations, different things like that. Other than that, everything's running pretty good.
We still have the pumps,
We
one
still
out
got
Russ
some
and
bypass
Sands.
pumps going, we had to add 2 more. I think we had an electrical issue at Rustic Sands, I've gotta get a hold of the power company, and if they burnt those pumps up, I'm gonna get a hold of them and see if we can't get reimbursed for those 2 pumps. Plus the rental for that bypass pump we're having to use right now.
I want you to put in the budget next year for one of them bypass pumps.
We got one,
They
but
rent,
it's
we paying a lot of money for them things. I got 4 in Georgia if you wanna rent one.
Price is right, anyway.
You do, I'm just, I mean, I went to see them down there this morning looking at the one Rustic Sands, and I said, what in the world now?
Yeah, that's what I said too.
Okay.
All right. Well, one thing's sure, we gotta keep the pumps running.
Yes.
That's a fact.
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Dewberry. David, how you doing?
Good, good. How you doing?
What you got for us?
Didn't pass out a sheet today. We're basically in the design permitting stage of the 3 projects we have going. The box culvert, boat ramp, and Sunset Park.
Okay. Do we have a start date on the landscape? Is that, have we talked to those folks?
That's for April 1st. We have a pre-coating this week, and the DEP is gonna issue a field permit for the, work, cause it's inside the seaward of the CCL, so.
I got it first.
We'll be starting or be up and go?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Questions for Dewberry about any of our, any stuff? There you are, Ryan, come on.
Yeah, I'm winning that.
There you go. How are you today?
Doing well, how are you guys? Got a sheet for you today. Pass that around.
Thank you.
So starting off, just on the FEMA public assistance projects, that wastewater collection system project that I've brought up the last couple councils that I've been hoping FEMA is gonna get through, but it's been tough on them just because it's in this last stage and it has to go through this headquarters sort of review, because it's a large project that's over $1 million. Still hasn't made it through, but I started talking to the state ahead of time because I wanted to try to get them working on the validation of all those invoices. And they agreed, even though normally they wait till the obligation happens to start looking at that. So hopefully that'll expedite things on the payout side once that actually gets through that last stage of FEMA review. On the substantial damage estimate project, good news on that. That project got obligated since the last time we updated, and the state, again, very quickly on this one, got the validation done, so we appreciate them for that. And they said probably by the end of next week, we should be seeing about $400,000 payout on that. Sort of a similar situation, as we've been pushing that obligated amount up, we were able to get another Cat Z payout, which is the management costs. I know we've talked about that one a lot. So this one, the state told me yesterday they're should, in the next 2 weeks, be paying out about $450,000 on that one. So some good news on the payouts there. Another good news on cash flow coming into the city. We got the initial advance for the marina project. $1.3 million on that. So you guys think are ahead of the game now. We've got more money in the coffers essentially than has been invoiced so far. So that's good news on all three of those projects. The other big things that we're spending most of our time on right now, I talked about these a couple times before. I think of them as the big three kind of tail end projects here: the jetty and the pier and the municipal complex. We've submitted all of those to FEMA for their initial review, and right now we've gotten some those questions that we always get back. They're called RFIs, or requests for information. We've gotten those back, I think yesterday, from FEMA on the jetty project. We're working to try to quickly address those so that we can get them right back and kind of keep pushing those projects forward. We haven't gotten any of those questions back on the pier and municipal complex, but I talked to FEMA, and I think in the next week or two we should be getting back those same kind of comments that, then we'll work back through with them. Just kind of trying to talk through what they see as eligible and trying to get that sort of that final design and cost estimate based on what FEMA thinks that they can give us. So those are those three, and then some almost good news on the dredge. I think last time I talked to you guys, the state, we talked about how we got that $6 million advance, and now the state is saying they need to validate up to that $6 million, go through all the tickets and all of that. Last time they had told me they were up to $5 million validated. Now they're telling me that they're under $100,000 left, and they're not seeing any issues, so we should be all the way validated up in the next week or two, and then that will allow us to get the advance for the remainder of the project, which is about another $6 million after we got the first $6 million advance, 6.5 I think. And that I know will be a relief to everyone, because then we'll be able to pay out the last half of that project that has been done for a long while. On the dredge number 2 project, which is the dredging we still have to do, we're trying to get the RFP out by the end of this month, so that we can, I think it's going to be RFPs actually, out by the end of this month, so that we can start getting to work on that as FEMA's giving sort of those final administrative reviews. If you look at the numbers, we're up about $1 or $2 million on the obligated and about $1 or $2 million on the paid since last month. So those continue to tick up. I'm hoping once we get that dredge through, that'll be a big upper in the paid amount. That'll be another $6 million up on that. So hoping for good news on that next month. And then just to kind of close out on the NRCS, we've had some conversations with them, and we should be getting, I'm hoping before the next meeting that I'm here, the last bit of reimbursement on that. They're still just trying to kind of finalize things since it's the last reimbursement request. They have to kind of do all their closeout stuff, so it's taken just a little bit longer than the other requests for reimbursement had taken. So that's my update for you guys. If you have any questions, definitely let me know.
Yeah, it's been a month since we talked to FEMA. I thought it's been over a month, but that's when they agreed to the numbers on Project 2 dredging.
Yeah.
Who's writing the scope of work?
So that scope of work's written already. It's through the phase of FEMA where they basically, where we agree with them on, the quantities and all of that.
But who wrote it? Who wrote the scope?
So that was technically, I guess FEMA wrote it, but we looked at it before it's gone in,
And it has spoil site provisions in it?
It's got the spoil sites in there, yeah.
So it says we're aiming to get an RFP out. Who is we? City?
Yeah, it's us in conjunction with the city. We had some talks about that since the last meeting, and I'll defer a little bit to Mario on it, but I think that the gist of it was that Dina had written the last RFPs, and so we felt like it made more sense for there to be some continuity there.
Okay.
Obviously, we wanted to make sure we addressed any of the issues that we ran into with the last one. in this new one as we bid it out.
Okay. So help me with the process on the, alright, so the RFP goes out.
Yep.
We get response.
Yep.
Has the scope been approved? I mean, you said FEMA wrote it, we approved it.
Yep. So that scope is set, and
That's
now,
part of the RFP.
yeah, that essentially will be part of the RFP, that will say, here's the quantities, here's where the sites are, all of that kind of stuff. And there's gonna be, the complication I think comes in with how you end up measuring the quantities, which we've had some conversations about. Unfortunately, I mean, on the engineering side, I think Dina can speak to that more than I can, because I don't.
Don't we have the surveys. We have the actual
Yeah.
pictures.
Yeah.
Show where the, what, so.
We have the survey, we have the actual pictures, but keep in mind, a survey is still a survey. It's an estimation of what we have, and once you
Well,
pick
it's
it
how
up
we
and
quantify
disturb
the
it.
FEMA that this is what's left to do, so I guess I'm just, needless to say, I'm nervous, I'm apprehensive that they're gonna do what they said they're gonna do, so, on this project.
FEMA.
Yeah, FEMA, not you, I know what y'all have been doing, believe me, I sat there, but.
Yeah.
We sent the process of how to measure.
Right.
So that we would have that checked off at the very beginning. And their response was, follow your charter for bidding, which meant absolutely nothing. Again, we are insistent that it needs to be based on quantities produced, because a survey is accurate by 25, 30%.
See, I thought they bought that.
That is the quantity that we have, the 23,000 yards is based on those quantities.
Right.
But at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we are being reimbursed, because this is a reimbursement program, this is not a 428. That we are still going to get reimbursed exactly the same way we did the first process, which is truckloads.
Truckload, right, truckload tickets.
Which we're going to keep at truckloads, because it's really the only way to do it. But we got that at least out in.
Alright, so that's on our radar more than that one little sentence that you gave it there, it's
Sure.
a high
Oh, yeah.
priority than that, cause
We're paying attention, we're trying to get it through, I know.
Okay.
Definitely that it's a priority for us.
Great. Questions for Atkins about any of our projects? Okay, thank you, Ryan, appreciate it. Okay.
Mayor, just before we move on, there was something
Yeah.
I meant to say.
Yes, sir.
In theory, Duke Energy have finished all the lights that we had told them were not working. So if anybody does see a street light in town that isn't working, as you go around, please let us know, and we can make sure that they repair it. And likewise, Fire Department and Bay County Sheriff's Office will be keeping an eye on it too. But obviously, citizens' input is important on this. If you have a light outside your house that's not working, please let us know. Thank you.
Okay. We'll move to the regular agenda items. Starting with 101 Ocean Plantation, and this is going to be a public hearing. And Nick, how are we going to handle this?
This is the variance request, correct?
Variance request, that's correct.
Since this is a variance, I'm gonna ask if anyone thinks they may speak on this, just raise your right hand, and, after I say my part, just say I do if you agree with me. If you're planning to speak on this, I want you to swear that you'll tell the truth and the whole truth about anything you may discuss, whether it's for or against the project. And if you're planning to speak, say I do now. I do. Okay, and for the council, if you've had any discussions with the applicant or property owners that were relevant, just quickly summarize those as well.
Okay, so we're going to open the public hearing. In fact, this is a variance request. Is the protocol for this is somewhat different than where you get into these replats. So I saw a gentleman, you're wanting to speak? Okay, Nick, the public hearing portion is open, and you can do your part for those that want to speak, right? Are you gonna do them all at one time? Or just in?
As far as swearing in,
Yeah.
we're done.
Oh, okay, you did that, I apologize.
The only person
Okay. Yes, sir, please identify yourself. What was yours?
My name's Keith Poole. I'm the general contractor that built the house at 121 Ocean Plantation Circle. I'm a general contractor. I come before you, sorry, I come before you merciful. We made a mistake. We inadvertently flipped the house in that subdivision and we built a left-hand garage and it should have been a right-hand garage. I take 100% responsibility for it. My superintendent, I'm not from here. I'm from 5 hours south of here, which is not an excuse. I had a superintendent up here and the concrete man grabbed the wrong plans out of the box. There was another house that we did, which is that same layout in that same subdivision, and he grabbed the left hand instead of the right hand. We did have the lot surveyed originally, and I don't know how much detail you want me to go into or not, I'm sure, but he's read the case. Stop me if I'm giving you too much information. We did have a surveyor survey it. He surveyed the 4 corners of the house like we do on all of our projects. This particular lot is on a radius on a cul-de-sac, and so the setback follows the radius of the cul-de-sac when it comes in. If the house would have been built in its correct orientation, there was a dog leg on the garage, we would have met within our setback requirements like we had submitted originally to the building department. The gentleman that laid that house out, he's no longer with my company anymore. We've changed our process on what we're doing there. I have built several hundred homes. This is the first time this has ever happened to me, and so I'm in a jurisdiction that is not my hometown, and I'm here asking for forgiveness. I'm here asking for mercy, and you know, we're building quite a few homes up here right now. They are spec homes. We're building an Ocean Plantation Casuna. We just bought a lot from the city on, I believe it's pronounced Lala or Layla. I'm not sure how that's pronounced. But we're up here for the long haul. We're not looking to go away. We're a reputable company. I've been in business for many, many, many years. I sit on several local boards in my jurisdiction where I live in Marion County. We made a mistake, and I'm here asking for forgiveness. We caught it. I called my surveyor. I explained to him what happened. To the naked eye, you probably wouldn't see it. If you were to ride in there and you didn't understand setbacks and that type of criteria, we brought it to the attention. We had a final plat done on it, or a final survey done on it, and we brought it to the attention of the city and the building department. So, again, we made a mistake. I take full responsibility for it. I'm a general contractor, and it's my problem. It's my issue. It's my responsibility. We obviously, we would like to sell that home. We do have a potential offer on that house. It came in yesterday. We did not list it. Somebody had rode by and saw it, and so they are wanting to put a contract on that house and close in 2 weeks. But that's not you guys' issue. That's my issue. So I'm here to answer any questions or come up with a resolve to my issue.
Thank you, sir. Are there others to speak? Anyone else here to speak on the variance request?
Jean Byrne, 101 Ocean Plantation. I just, I
Ms.
have a
Burnett,
question.
did you swear yourself in?
No, I did not.
Let's just do that really quickly.
Okay.
Do you tell the whole truth? You promise to tell the truth and the whole truth about any testimony today?
Yes.
Thank you.
I don't wanna punish the contractor, and it's not a visual thing. You can't, as you said, you can't tell that it's over. I don't know, how much is it over?
Yes, ma'am. It's over 5.9 feet. And so there's a radius that comes around in that cul-de-sac. The back corner is well within the setbacks, which would be the right side of the garage, the right side of the house. The left side is what encroaches. If there's any saving grace at all, it's less driveway, which, for a pervious area, but that's the only positive side of it. But it is 5.9 feet inside. We're not sure if it's practical or not to tear down that front section of it. We've got to work through some engineering side and some shear walls and some structural issues if we do have to remove the front section of the house. So, never had to do that before, but obviously we're going to entertain it. So.
What alternatives does the city have to having?
We fix to find out.
You answered that question very well.
Okay. I'll be
We
listening.
try not to get many of these.
Yes, I know.
I mean, so
Well,
I'm just being, all right, are you through?
yeah, I'll just wait and listen
Okay,
to see
yeah.
what comes up, and I
Okay.
might have a comment later.
Keith, are you?
I'm good out here to
And
answer
there may
any-
be questions, we'll get back to you,
All
okay?
right, thank you, sir.
Anyone else here to speak? Okay, then we'll bring the discussion to the table, and, I think you've heard the gentleman's, I think he called it a plea. This is not, or at least one of this magnitude. I don't know of anything where we have been, come before us with almost a 6-foot setback encroachment. But, we do have one today, and we'll open the floor for discussion or questions. We have Keith is here that can answer. If we have anyone here that wants to get technical about what happened or how it happened, but,
As you discuss this, request and make your decision, the standards of review are in your packet. Just keep those in mind as you're making a decision.
Say that again, Nick?
The standards of review are in your packet, they're part of our application.
yeah, I saw it.
And depending on your decision, you'll want to consider those standards and, base your decision upon those standards of review.
I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
My name,
Keith. Keith.
Yes.
I'm Darrell Keith, so just
good to meet you, sir.
first name suits me.
Yes.
In the house plan, can you tell me what, is that a laundry room and a closet that's keeping you from, making the garage further back into the house?
Yes, sir. There's a laundry room and a closet, and there's also an internal shear wall. So there's some structural things that are going on there on that particular model.
Okay. But the depth of that, or the width of that laundry room beyond the shear wall?
Yes, sir. That front wall on the garage side is the shear wall, which would not be able to be removed. If we were to cut off the portion of the garage up front, the 6 feet that we need, that would leave us with a 12-foot in depth from inside to inside, from the inside of the garage to the inside of the wall. There are a set of steps that come down because of the elevation requirement in there, and so it would render it very small inside of there. So, but that interior wall probably will not be able to be moved. It is a stem wall footer that's in there. There is an elevation height difference that's there, and it being an internal shear wall.
Okay. Thank you, Keith.
Yes.
That's not sold though, you said, right? The house is not sold.
The house is, got a pending contract on it that happened yesterday afternoon, but it is not sold. It is not CO'd as well. It is in its final stages
Okay.
of where we're at.
So if you had to cut the garage down, that would leave just a storeroom there?
Yes, sir. If it's practical to cut it down, it would be a very small room. It would be roughly 12 feet minus the stairs, so probably 10 foot of usable space.
So it could be a garage.
Just for information purposes, if I may, there's a couple of houses in Ocean Plantation that have carports or slat wall areas out front that might be an option.
Keith, the only question I have is, you said there's some engineering things going on. Does that mean, can you quantify or is it impractical? Is it possible? What, on the, I mean, to the layman, it may be where you just cut the wall down. You know what I mean? But on the engineering side, can you sort of enlighten us, or you just mentioned there's some things going on. What?
So obviously, we're
I
business
don't wanna
people.
get real technical, I'm just trying to see what you mean by that.
Yes, sir. A couple things that have happened. The code changes happened. December the 31st, the new building code went into effect. So it changed wind requirements. It changed a lot of that. So if we go to cut this house off, we're going to have to go back through the engineering process, probably resubmit a set of plans to the building department and go through that process to handle it. In running the calculations, I'm not sure if it's going to work or not. And so that's where I'm at. In layman's terms, I'm not sure how much it's gonna cost. It could be $15,000, $20,000 by the time we cut this thing off and make it look like it's not an afterthought, because we obviously need to sell this home. We don't want a house there that we can't sell. So So in the interim, it's a very costly mistake. It's never had this happen before. You know, it's new, it's uncharted water for me, and I haven't seen any precedents with the city of Mexico Beach where it's happened as well. So I don't like to be the first at things, and certainly don't want to be here in this position, and will do everything in my power not to have to be back in this position. So we have changed our process of what we do on that. And again, I would recommend to the city, they've gone through the process now of having the string lines up and verifying that process went into place after this mistake was caught. That's not foolproof. The only way that it's foolproof is to require a foundation or a formboard survey before you pour. So we have gone to that process, and that's where you pay the surveyor to come out, and he actually measures your formboard before you pour your concrete. That's the only foolproof way to do it. The liability falls on him at that point of the game. We did survey the four corners, which is the envelope of the house, which is a standard practice. I mean, that's what you do. If it was a square home, you'd have no issues. You know, if it was a normal lot, we wouldn't have had an issue being left and right. But being there's a dog leg on it, and I'm sure everybody can see the site plan of what I originally submitted versus what it is now. And so that's where we're at.
All right, go ahead, Jeff.
Hey, Gina.
Sir.
You know, we changed the format of you guys doing a layout.
Yes,
This was prior to that
this was
happening?
permitted prior to that happening, yeah,
If-
they were already past that point.
Okay, so had that been in effect before these guys did that, y'all would have caught it probably, and is that-
Assuming that process was followed, we could have caught it before the foundation was poured.
okay, so we now have, and since this mistake, corrected a way that should eliminate pretty much everything, and if it doesn't, it's because they have been just blatantly reckless. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, so see, Keith, I don't know if you know, but we changed it because, we didn't survey, we've had one other issue with getting outside, and, we changed it so that we could probably circumvent that from ever happening again.
Now, I will say, Gerald, one thing, the way we do it now, and Keith alluded to this, we're requiring people to put strings on the property.
Okay,
When you're really close, it's not gonna catch that. We can't catch that with a tape measure that you're an inch off, but a surveyor can. So
Yeah.
there are some that we will miss.
yeah, well, an inch off is, I can do an inch, but 5.9 inches.
I'm just saying,
Yeah,
that's
well,
still gonna happen.
5.9 feet, Mr. Darrell, 5.9 feet. We're not here for inches, we're here for feet.
yeah, I understand, you got all you can get, I'm
Yes,
sure.
sir, yes, sir. We mess up, it's a big one, so.
Well, and thank you, Gina. They do a great job,
Yes.
the building department, with what they do. They have a lot of stuff that they do. I just want to say that they are doing, and I think that, in my opinion, and being a builder before, stuff happens, and I think it's unfortunate that it happened. But I also see the cost of it, and for me, the consequences of it, it is in a cul-de-sac. I've looked at it, I sat there and looked at it, and, other than this, from my personal view, other than saying, sounds like you've already fixed the problem, and probably won't happen to you again ever. So, I'm in favor of saying, you know, it's water under the bridge, and it's not a major deal, it's not really hurting anybody out there. So I don't have a problem with letting it slide.
Okay. Nick, I want to ask on these, standards.
Correct.
Is what Darrell said qualifies as standard?
Well,
I mean, is that, I mean, potential for ramifications, I'm trying to clarify what we, how we relate that to standards, and maybe is what I'm trying to say, that's
the standards of review on here that are going to be the most difficult to achieve, first and foremost, is gonna be the hardship is not the result of the applicant's own actions. And, there's been some discussion about the building department procedures changing. hardship being unique to the applicant's property, and not suffered by adjacent or adjacent nearby property owners or the general public, and that it relates to the land rather than personal circumstances. So, that would be something unusual about this property that necessitates variance.
Only other question I have, Gina, or
Yes.
in the CO process, in a situation where the building department has not CO'd this property, I know, like, for an example, sometimes when you don't get a building permit, there's fines that the building department assesses for certain things that happen, correct? Like building permit, there's sometimes where they pay double a permit, for an example. I'm just using that as the one.
Yeah, like if you don't get a building permit, you get double
Well,
fee.
okay.
Yeah.
Anything in the codes that says, is this an definable offense if the cities chose to make an exception for this?
As far as the
From the building?
code, no.
No? Okay.
No,
I didn't know.
it's strictly a city issue.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so back to the tape. Darryl said,
I got one more question.
go ahead, sure.
So what kind of board are you on? You on a board that would make this decision?
I'm on a license review board, I'm on a peer board where we hold contractors responsible for their actions. And we actually have a meeting tonight at
That's
5:30
fine.
that I've gotta get back to, so.
You
yes.
answered my question.
Yes. I'm also past president of the Builders Association,
And I appreciate you really being honest. And in my opinion, I know you made a mistake. I just think, the man, I tell you, now, it takes a lot to get up in front of us and say, I'm wrong, please try to help me. But how far do we go? I mean, I don't, and he just got through saying that's what he does. Unless you, somebody says
Okay,
something.
anybody else? Here's my take. I looked at it, it is an unusual, to the naked eye, it doesn't disalign anything when you look at the surrounding properties, because of its location. I would think that some type of monitor, to say that it's just happened is understandable, and I do agree Keith has come here with hat in hand, and that's not always easy to do. But due to the circumstances, due to what's involved to make it meet all of the criteria of the city code, I don't see in that location that we have, that we're going to be a whole lot better off. And I might suggest some type of monetary fine and document well, it's already documented, and only say that because of the location. It doesn't misalign, it doesn't affect, in my opinion, if I were a next door neighbor, I don't see any issues that it's going to cause that neighborhood.
From an aesthetic.
Yeah, just aesthetic, that's exactly right, aesthetic. That's my take, and I don't know, Nick, that may be opening some kind of, I may be speaking, I've never, to my knowledge, I don't know that we've done that, but I don't think it's hey, you come here hat in hand and there's water on the bridge, and he's obviously accepting accountability for his mistake. But I don't think it's just, okay, walk away. I just don't, I feel like that if we're going to make some amendments here for his sake, that I'm in favor of doing that, do we have that in our system to do even?
Well, the better approach is to just focus on whether the variance is warranted or not, as far as then applying a penalty. That would seem to acknowledge that there is a violation that should be addressed. I don't think that's a great idea. I haven't seen it done previously in the city.
Okay.
But it may work.
So just address what's on the paper.
That would be the better, cleaner approach.
Okay, got it. Yes, Keith?
I have a question for the attorney. If a donation was made, maybe for some chairs on the beach, or maybe to help out with the post office.
That sounds like a problem.
I didn't know where Mexico Beach was before the storm, but I heard they had some really big, beautiful chairs out there people took pictures on. So if those happen to show up on the beach, would that be all right?
I tell you what, we can discuss that today. I like that.
I would advise not to.
I understand.
Everybody is welcome to donate to the city.
I like, let me, one more thing.
Go ahead.
I tell you what, he said that he was on the board and you told me that they would have to fix it. But I think we got, wherever Gina is, I think we got things in place now that I hope this is the last time.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna bring it there, something in my, back of my head tells me no, but, I think.
I'm the same. If there's any other discussion at the table?
My concern is, if we do it this time, are we gonna then do it again? Well, you did it for this one, why can't you do it for me?
Yeah, that's a very valid question.
That's my concern.
And it's always one that haunts the city when you start doing.
Well, we hope Gina, and I hope we put more and more work on them, I hope they'll catch it. I hope, I mean, I know it, we
It's
don't.
gonna happen. I mean,
I know it's gonna
be
happen,
honest.
I know
It's
it's
gonna
gonna
happen.
happen, the way you,
I just don't think we ought to do it for one, and then the next person's gonna come along and say, well, you did it back here. That's what I'm concerned about. That it'll keep happening.
that's what, and Gina said, that's the same thing she said, it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen.
Well, it's already happened after we went to this new way of doing it.
Right.
Yeah, this one fell under the.
Oh, wait, that's why I'm gonna give it another chance.
Yeah, what you have.
I sympathize deeply for the gentleman here, but I clearly remember several instances, including one about 5 years ago where the designer built the entire front steps of the house, built into the design, and it was into the front setback, and the city said, sorry, you've got options, you can redesign it, and the lady was extremely upset because it ruined the aesthetics of her house, but the city said, no way, it was the design problem, and it was denied, and other variances for setbacks have been denied, so while I understand this is the most expensive issue with setbacks that have come in my recollection, if you start down this slope of allowing something of this magnitude to get by, you've lost all your ground. And what are you gonna say to the people who were denied before?
I will add that your goal of variances should be to issue as few as possible. And when you issue them, they should be for very unique situations. Otherwise, the more you grant, the more you hurt your ability to enforce your just normal rules and your likelihood in the future of having everything be valid and enforceable.
Go ahead. Say something else. Yeah. Can I say something, Mark, and then you, regardless of what happened in the past and what's gonna happen in the future, we put a deal in place that shouldn't happen in the future, although Gina's confident it will. But hopefully it'll be an inch or two, and it won't be anything major. You still have to, what I'm gonna have to consider is, aesthetically, it's not hurting anything out there. Yes, it should have never been done. Slap on the wrist seems insignificant, but, you know, this is a major amount of money to fix something that's really not gonna hurt anybody out there. And I can tell you that when I drove up, before I looked into here, I thought, well, I'll be able to see what's going on, and I couldn't. It's in the curve, so we still have to take every case on its merits and consider all of the situations. And so, you know, just because we're approving this one doesn't mean that the next one will get approved. But, you know, I think we have to look at each case independently. That's all I'm saying.
And we do.
Yes, I see some hands. Yeah, Mark?
I don't envy any of you all in this kind of decision, because I certainly see both sides, and as you all get deeper into it, I can see more and more conflict. But if we have Kathy over there trying to enforce things about trailers and cleaning up and campers that are finable, right, or there's a penalty, why would this become any different?
Because it's not in the rule, it's not part of the,
So then.
it's not what,
It's not apples to apples? Okay.
If anyone else is gonna speak, I'm gonna get them sworn
That's where
in.
it
Last
is.
two.
Oh, I'm sorry, I
They're really
forgot.
questions, they weren't really testimony,
yeah,
so.
yeah. Go ahead. Rock, you speaking?
Yes.
Tell him that.
Did you swear in earlier? I don't think you did. All right, you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and any testimony you provide in this matter?
Yes.
Thank you.
You might wanna look at this with a different perspective. It's not like I hired a contractor at my house, I'm waiting to move into it. Now all of a sudden I might be out in the street for another 3, 4, 6 months. This is a builder, nobody owns the house, nobody's waiting to move into it.
Yes, they are.
Nobody's waiting to move in the house, it's not under contract, it's a builder's house that he's selling. It's completely different, how I look at it, whether it was somebody's house that they hired this builder, they've been waiting a year to get into it, and now all of a sudden they're stuck in the street. What am I supposed to do? I can't move into my house waiting for a CO now. It's a builder's house. This house should be straightened out to meet your code, because it's almost 6 feet and it's a big deal. And it's sitting there vacant, with no owner waiting to move in. Apples and oranges, completely different.
Okay, back to the council. We have a request for we're sort of just bring it back to the center, the core of the issue is there's a request for a front setback variance. We're gonna close the public hearing, we're gonna move to Chair will entertain further discussion / motion.
I've been listening to all sides. Kinda like Darryl, when I drove up, I tried to see what the problem was. I can certainly feel for them having to tear down part of the place for lots of money, lots of time. I wish there was some way it could be fined. No offense, but it'd be the easiest way for everybody. I can't see him going into $20,000 and $30,000 and redoing the place. There certainly is a lot of errors. More than I thought I would say yes or no. But I personally feel like it won't happen again through him. And hopefully with the building department, we'll be able to control a lot more than that in the future. saying all that, I say, I'm for giving the variance.
Okay, anybody wanna make a motion, or speak more?
One other quick question, if you don't mind, Mayor. Keith, from the violated side of the garage to the property line, how far is that? I can't really tell off of here very good, it's so small.
So on the.
Looks like 20 feet.
The front left corner, you're 22 feet off of the west property line.
Yeah, okay.
And then you are, from the property line to the corner of the garage, you're 14.71 feet, if you can see that. And then if you look just behind that where it says the 5.9
Yeah,
is into the
yeah.
setback.
Right. Okay, so my question is, and the carport is 20 by 13, like, it's hard for me to see these
Well,
little.
it's not a carport, it's actually
Garage.
an enclosed garage
Yeah,
with a
right.
garage door. And so
Right.
it's 20, he measured it 20 feet, the actual distance is 18 feet if you look from the inside of the garage
Okay.
to the inside of the wall.
Okay, so 18 feet by,
13,
not quite 14.
yes, or not quite 14, it is, I believe it's a 10-foot door that's on that garage. So it is, it's 13 foot wide and it is a 10-foot by 8-foot door that's on the garage. And again, that offset is from the property line in, and it follows the radius of the cul-de-sac, so that's where it gets you, that's the.
Yeah, okay. Well, I make, you.
Go ahead.
You got something you want to say?
I think it's almost 6 feet.
Okay. I know, it's a lot.
It's not inches. I think it's major deal. Go ahead.
Wait.
Oh,
I'm in the,
You ready for a motion?
I'm ready for a motion or further discussion or whatever the council, which direction we want to go.
I'm gonna make a motion if there's no further discussion.
Okay.
Make a motion that we approve it, grudgingly approve it, but approve it, based on the circumstances.
Okay. I have a motion for approval of the variance on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mayor Kathy,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Pollock,
Yes.
Ms. Paul,
No.
Mr. Keith,
Yes.
Okay. Moving on. We will move to number 2, which is a replat request at 1002 Highway 98, Units 3 and 4. We'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone to speak? Yes, sir.
Tyler Marsh with Southeastern Consulting Engineers. This is pretty straightforward. It's a lot combination. These particular lots were part of a quadruplex that was there prior to the storm that was destroyed. And the owners are here as well, Mr. Christopher and Miss Susan Cammy. But essentially what they're wanting to do is they're roughly 17 to 18 foot wide parcels. They want to combine 2 of them and build one single family house. Other than that, they're reducing the density in the area. That's pretty well all there is to it. If you guys have any questions for me.
Okay. Is there anyone else to speak? Yes.
I'm Chris Camack, the owner, and all my friends are the owners, so if there are any questions, come up with the answers directly. We have unit 4, the one closest to Sharon. Unit 3 did not want to rebuild, so we had the opportunity to buy theirs. Merging them together allows us to build one house that's not on top of our house. Gives us a little space between.
All right, since the storm, this has become a relatively common request that we have handled, where folks are looking to break away from some of that townhouse stuff that was there prior to Michael. With that said, we'll close the public hearing and move to the table. I believe that's about as straightforward as you can have with a request. If there's questions, or Mario, if you feel the need, does anyone need any explanation of what we're doing? Or have a question?
Staff recommended approval.
Yeah. So, either discussion or motion?
Is the zoning going to stay the same? They're not asking for it.
Yes, ma'am, same as all.
Yeah, the zoning doesn't change here.
Okay.
Zoning's the same.
And the density goes down, which is a good thing.
Yeah, density goes down. The house will have to meet all the set, it'll just be give them more property bills, but they'll have to abide by all the LDR regulations.
So there's a 7.5 setback on the side lot now? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I make a motion, we approve it.
Second.
There you go, cut him off, cut him off.
Well, I would like to hear Highway 98.
I make a
Too late.
motion for 1002 Highway 98, for the, combined as one lot.
Second.
Thank you.
Again.
We need a little levity after that last.
Yes, we do.
All right, we have a motion second, any further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mayor Kathy?
Yes.
Mr. Pollock?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Call?
Yes.
Mr. Keith?
Yes.
Thank you. Moving to 104 32nd Street, which is a replat. Again, we will have a public hearing for the, again, this is a lot combination. Is there anyone here to speak?
Yeah, Danny Coleman.
Hey, Steve. Yes, sir. The floor is yours, sir.
My request is to combine these two blocks. I have a townhouse at 3203 Highway 98 Unit B, which is on 98, and then I have a vacant lot right behind me, which tees into my lot, and it's vacant. But it is on townhouse. Residential, my lot is, I think, highway commercial, is that right? You know, I read that right.
Tourist commercial.
Tourist
Commercial,
yeah.
sorry. So in order for me to build a deck on this vacant lot, so that I can put an elevator for my wife and I when we get old, I need to have this zone the same.
Okay, and you're seeking, well, I don't see,
Mayor, he does not need to rezone it to do what he wants to do.
I didn't think so, that's what had me,
I thought
there's not a request here for rezone.
No,
Replat.
replat,
Replat.
replat, not
Sorry.
rezone, yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
And so,
It's just got a piece.
you're just gonna put a deck back there?
Pardon?
You're just gonna put a deck back there?
That's all.
And the deck is for the elevator?
That's correct.
So if Gina, if he does that, then essentially he's rendered the lot useless for anything else, right?
Correct.
Okay,
Now, I
so-
understand that.
Yeah, so that's, I'm just clarifying.
Yeah, that's correct.
For you, okay.
Thank you, sir.
Right.
Yeah, anyone else to speak?
Very
Yes,
quickly.
Nick.
The application materials, you'll note if you look at them closely, they discuss a variance. I understand from staff, that's the way this process began, but it evolved into a replat combination. And since the applicant is here, he just said he's requesting a replat, but I just wanted to clarify that for the record in case someone looks later and sees these variance documents in the package.
Okay, we're gonna close the public hearing then, if there's no other comments, the request for clarification is a replat at 104 32nd Street, combining two parcels. That's the request. Discussion or motion?
I make a motion that we accept the replat request for 104 32nd Street A and 3203 Highway 98B, parcels listed.
Okay, we have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mayor Kathy?
Yes.
Mr. Pollock?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Call?
Yes.
Mr. P?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to 101 South 25th Street, this is a combination, again, a replat request. Is there anyone here to speak? All right, Mauro, is there anything that you, as the, even to make it part of the record for the public hearing, is there anything here other than what we read? I mean, any kind of,
It's pretty basic, it's just combining two so that they can expand on one house.
okay, if there's no public hearing, speakers, we'll close the public hearing, we'll go to the table and again, a two parcel combination of in one for living a single family home.
Am I missing something on one of the pages? It's got the one in red, it's not, I don't see two in red that we're talking about.
According to the,
Yes.
property appraisal, that lot is one whole lot, but it shows that he wants to combine the two. But if you look on the property appraisal map, it just shows it as one lot.
Yeah, okay, so that's why it's only showing one instead of the two, okay.
Read there, I blew my mind, I kept looking at the little block until I got out and looked at it.
This is still in line with this, but what constitutes a pool house and a separate apartment? This has got a great room, it's over 500 square feet for a pool house. You got a bathroom, a great room, shower. That could easily be turned into an apartment. And I realize that, you know, do have pool houses, but I would think pool house would be maybe a little shower and bathroom.
I would need to confirm it, but we used to have a definition of dwelling unit that included, some kind of basic kitchen facility, and that would be the differentiation, but I haven't looked at that in quite a while, I need to see if that's still in our code. We did make some changes a couple years ago.
So microwave would be the kitchen.
Gene, have you seen the drawings on the pool house?
Yes, sir.
I mean,
Yes, sir. So the
way it looks to me, I mean, I can see what Bobby's saying, but
it could easily be turned into another dwelling. That's very true. But the parcels as they exist, he could build 3 residential structures. So when he combines them, all he's asking for is a house and a pool house. So even if it turns into another house, he's still one down from density that he could build right now as it sits.
But he's not one down from a accessory livable structure,
Correct.
which is not allowed.
Say that again?
An accessory structure that is a habitable, that's habitable.
Mm-hmm. So he had a duplex, and the other parcel could be built on. So he has the ability to build 3 separate.
But no, but he's not.
He's
But
not.
not combining a lot, so.
But then when he combines them, what he's requesting is not to build all 3 of those, but to build a single family residence and this pool house, which could be anything really. But at the end of the day, if it turns into another structure, another residential structure, then he's still at 2 instead of 3. He's still down one
He was
unit.
building on one lot.
Correct.
So that goes out the window, what he could build. Once we combine Nick, we didn't change that about habitable.
He can
Struct-
still build 2 habitable structures on this property.
No, but he's not. He's not, I mean, what do you mean you can have?
You're saying that the lot is large
I'm saying
enough to
that
build
the-
2?
Yes. Once he combines them, it could support 2 habitable structures. So the fact
Lot
that,
size allowed.
that if it's a pool house versus not a pool house and an actual residential structure doesn't really matter. Because he has the ability and the land mass there to build 2 structures.
Well, correct me, Nick, we have an ordinance that says, regardless of the size of the lot, doesn't matter. If you have an accessory structure, it says how big it can be. I mean, it can be, I forget the percentage of the house, but I forget the percentage, but that's what we allow. But it cannot be it's not for habitable.
The way I understand that the city has applied this rule in the past is 1 house per lot,
That's right.
even if it's a large lot.
And
That's the way-
used to, Gina, pre-Gina, there was a stamp in the building department that they stamped on the plans that said uninhabitable structure. Like an apartment or like, I mean, that, they used to do that.
Like a garage or a garage or something?
No, an accessory structure. That's what this is. A pool house is an accessory structure.
And it can't become a mother-in-law suite.
And it can't, well, that's right, it's not, what do you find out about the plumbing or
The dwelling unit definition still addresses, it requires permanent provisions for living, sleeping, eating, cooking, and sanitation. So what that has meant to us in the past is for something to be a dwelling unit, it requires a kitchen. That's the dwelling units are what count towards these density requirements for how many houses per lot.
are we confused?
Kind of, yeah, yeah.
Okay, question, going back, down here on, Bader Lane, we got the people living in the garage while they're building their house.
Mm-hmm.
They gonna have to disassemble that garage as part of the house to be able to get a CO on the house they build, is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
That property does not support 2 dwelling units.
And right now it has kitchen and everything that makes a house.
It did. I don't know what it has.
The definition is in single-family residential, you build 1 house per lot. You don't build 1 house and a mother-in-law apartment. You don't, I mean, it can be attached, but detached. And so I'm a little confused.
Well, he's in tourist commercial on one lot and high density residential on the other.
Bobby's initial question was, what's the difference between a pool house and
That
a
is-
small house? And that's where this dwelling unit definition comes in. If it lacks a kitchen, it's not considered a dwelling unit.
Okay, this lacks the kitchen. I mean, pool house.
So if you put a microwave in there, you'd have a kitchen, is that correct?
It says permanent.
That's cooking equipment.
cooking facilities.
I don't know what defines a kitchen.
There's no
Well,
exact.
I think our whole city is we got into these residential neighborhoods where you end up with rental apartments, quote, bedrooms, quote.
Bed and breakfast.
Bed and breakfast out in the backyard, they increase the parking, increase and I thought we settled that, but maybe, and this is no different, other than that the zoning, I guess, might be different there. What'd you say that was, Jim?
It's tourist commercial, the property on.
That's on the highway, but the
And
second
then
lot's
The
tour-
second lot is high density.
High density residential, okay. Yeah, you got a question?
I brought this up last week with the P and Z. We've had instances in the past where pool houses were illegally converted to dwelling units and rented out. So I asked them, what is there to stop that from happening in the future? And they said, well, you can't police it. So I see it as a problem.
Well, if it's built without a kitchen, and somebody wants to put a, you know, it's a pool house.
Yes, pool. That's all, I'm looking at pool house, I'm not, and I can see what y'all saying about it. When they put in for a pool house, it's a pool house, it's not a dwelling.
And I guess we deal with it like we did those others, when they got turned, when somebody said, hey, this thing's, you can go on Airbnb and rent this thing. Then all of a sudden you know, it becomes a code violation.
That's right. But until then,
It's a pool house.
it's a pool house.
That's right.
Until then, they haven't done it.
That's exactly
I
right.
understand, I can see us beating this horse.
Okay.
I'm ready with you.
Yeah, I mean, you can't convict anybody until they've done something wrong, so. But your point is well taken. I make a motion that we, accept, oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was thinking,
I make a motion that we accept the replat request at 101 South 25th Street.
I second that motion.
I have a motion second, questions, call the roll.
Mayor Kathy?
Yes.
Mr. Paulus?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Keith?
Yes.
That word we want.
All right, we're gonna save the best one for last.
Y'all? Good.
Well, I don't know. We'll find out. Maybe everybody understood it from me. 120, 41st Street, replat of 2 parcels. We open the public hearing. Anyone here to speak? No one here to speak? All right, you want to try
Staff
to, I gotta have some explanation. I'm confused.
Staff recommends approval. It used to have 2 townhomes on 2 separate lots. They're gonna build back pretty much the same footprint, but they wanna combine the 2 lots, so it's gonna be 1 owner with a townhome on it, so. It'll be 1 owner, so he wants to combine the lots, but he's gonna build a townhome back on it just like it had before.
Oh, Lord, that's simple.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know where you.
It's a lot of paperwork to say
I
that.
don't know what it is.
Okay. All right, I'm with you.
Am I relatively correct?
That's exactly it.
That's exactly it.
You brought support, didn't you?
I have been wrong before, so I'd like to.
Okay.
That's simple.
Well, what had you confused was back to, I guess, I mean, they showed all these old flats that showed the differences. So that's what had me. Okay, I won't need to make something out of that. All right, another combination of lots? Do I have a motion?
I guess I'll keep it up. Make a
Do it.
motion to replat request for 120 South 41st Street that we approve.
Second.
Second, all right, good. Questions? Lindsay, again, please call the roll.
Mayor Kathy?
Yes.
Mr. Paulus?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Keith?
Yes.
Okay, we had withdrawn, ordinance 759 until our next meeting. Move to first reading or discussion of ordinance 760, which is a result of our workshop from last week, I believe. We can discuss
This is the first time that, some of you would have looked at this closely. If you are satisfied that this covers what we discussed during the workshop correctly, you can have the first reading. If there are changes you want, anything more significant than just minor stuff, we can get those changes accomplished and then do a first reading in another meeting.
Well, what I like is, all said. I mean, I just think it says what we said.
I think that's close enough for me.
You didn't deviate a lot, that's good.
So we didn't, but we didn't put, is it somewhere else in here that it was for a year and a half?
Yeah.
Where's that?
Up there under the permitting, up there under occupation, which is D.
D.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. All right.
Year and a half rules already.
So everything that's underlined is
New.
new.
That's right.
Okay. I think you did good.
Yep.
Nick is short.
I know I've been hooking, but I can tell you that much.
And remember, we have, yes, Rob, go ahead.
One real quick thing, I've read this ordinance, how does that take effect on, you have a house that's been here 2 years, it hasn't been repaired, but it's not total, nobody's just been living in it. Do they also get to come back and park an RV for a year and a half to work on their house, if it's not been a totaled house? Just a question, because I'm just walking through my neighborhood the other day, I've noticed 2 houses that have been sitting for years now have RVs connected to sewage parked next to them. And the houses, as far as I know, they weren't totaled, they looked like in decent shape, I mean, they had some damage that needed to be repaired, but how is that going to affect that?
Well, if they have a CO, the rule is clear. They have a CO. Can't be. I mean, it can be their store, I should say.
Okay.
Correct me, Nick, right? I mean, that's the way I read this.
If they currently have a CO or whenever they get a CO, their time period ends, but if, I guess the question is if there's a home that's not certified for occupancy now because it's so damaged, can this rule apply while they're repairing and upgrading the home? I would say yes, and you, once you
From
tell
the
them
time that they
no.
pull the permit.
Yeah, well, then the year and a half kicks in.
Right.
I mean, it seems to me that we have made Kathy, given her something to work with.
She's doing it.
Okay? My suggestion is that we have a first reading, we have 30 days to you know, all of a sudden something doesn't sit right with us.
I'm sorry, Nick, but where is, that construction has got to be started before that?
The paragraph has a D in front of it,
Yeah,
and it says that, an RV may not be placed pursuant to permit under this paragraph until construction has physically begun on site. Permitting, design, and land clearing activities shall not be sufficient to allow an RV to be placed.
all right, perfect, thank you. That's it, that's it.
Do we have a motion or a discussion to read by title only?
Make a motion to read ordinance 760 by title only.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any opposition to reading? Please do so. Yep, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No.
This may be a milestone. This may be the last time we get Miss Lindsay to read an ordinance with her lovely accent. And I'm just, I'd like to hear it more, but.
I'll leave you a recording.
Thank you.
Yeah, Joe.
One year and a little bit.
Okay.
Would you like me to?
Please read.
Okay.
Slowly, so we can enjoy it.
An ordinance of the City of Mexico Beach, Florida, amending section 150.04 of the City Code regarding use and storage of recreational vehicles, allowing storage, eliminating certain short-term usage, and modifying the process and rule that allows for occupancy during construction of a residence, providing for severability, codification, and providing an effective date.
Thank you. All right. That will be on our next meeting.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Mr. Dick, you're up.
brief update I have on the search for a new special master. I don't have any price proposals or exact details to present, but I've got tentative interest from the two firms I was hopeful that would be interested, and then a few others that are not going to be able to participate, but I hope to bring something more definitive back to you soon.
Okay? Good enough. Mario, your show.
Mayor, we've covered plenty. I'm good. But if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
You don't have anything?
Yes, sir.
I don't believe it. You sure you ain't got some papers you
If
want to pass?
if you ask me a question, I'll
No.
give you an answer. I have no.
All right, council comments? Floor is open. I'm gonna announce that, Lindsay, we appreciate your service. This is your last meeting. Thank you very much. Your replacement will be in to see you in the morning
Yes.
at 8 o'clock.
Yes.
So, we wish you the very best. Thank you for all you've done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank everybody.
Thank you.
Motion for adjournment.
So moved.